Hello, everyone, and welcome to Decoding the WSL, the podcast dedicated to the stats and facts in the WSL. I'm standing in for your much beloved host, Sam Biccarino, today. My name's Tom, as you might well know. But before you switch off, you'll still get your Statarino fix, as he is right here with us from a bit of a Carl Award in the stands on a walkie-talkie kind of brief today. He's trying out being a guest on his own show for the first time. How are you, Sam Biccarino?
Well, thank you for having me today, Tom. It's really nice to be here. Thanks for inviting me on. Tom is hosting the show today because I wasn't sure if I was going to be here or not, or basically how tired I was going to be and whether it was actually worth coming on. But I'm feeling fresh. I'm feeling ready to go. I'm feeling excited to be on the other side of it as well. Actually.
Yeah. Are you gonna tell the fans where you were last night?
Yes, the reason that I thought I might not be very good company this evening is because I went to the darts yesterday. So I've had to catch up with all the football on my lunch break today. So I also didn't book the day off work. But thankfully I came back feeling pretty fresh. I slept pretty well last night and taking the right sort of precautions, ate well, looked after my nutrition, and I'm fighting fit and ready for the game ahead.
Okay, well, it sounds like you have a good chance of getting invited back, but we'll see how you do. So next, you've heard of Mr. Steal Your Girl, you've heard of Mr. Worldwide, but now introducing, it's Mr. Know Your Stat, Jacob Bernstein. How are you?
Oh, I'm good, thank you. That was a well-worthy intro. I am good. I feel like I've just about recovered mentally and emotionally from that game yesterday between Spurs and United, and I'm sure we'll get into it later in the pod.
I have no horse in that race, and I needed to lie down after that. I don't know. It was a lot, wasn't it? It was a lot. But yeah, you're absolutely right. We will get into it. And finally, last but not least, if you ever wondered what a visionary triple captain that bags returns would be in human form, well, wonder no longer. It's our Izzy Duddy. How are you today?
That was lovely, and it would be more lovely if that ever happened to me. But hey, I'm very well, thank you. I managed to watch all of the games, most of them all at once this weekend, which was very hectic. But yeah, I haven't actually been able to catch all of them for quite a while, so I'm ready to discuss a big, full, action-packed weekend.
Fantastic. Well, there's a couple of triple captaincy calls that looked like they might be a bit dodgy, but turned out okay. We'll get onto them. So this weekend in the WSL, we were treated to 25 goals across the 6 matches. That's the most of any game week so far. So we really have a lot to talk about. So let's get straight into it, and we'll start at Goodison with Everton 1, Arsenal 3. This one was the first game of the weekend. Alessia Russo made her 100th WSL appearance and marked it with a goal too. Katie McCabe and Olivia Smith also found the net for Arsenal, both in spectacular style. It was 3 goals in the first 15 minutes, and then we had a big wait for the last goal that Olivia Smith would find the back of the net with. Honoka Hayashi scored another big goal for Everton. This time Everton couldn't convert that into a point or a return from the game. Speaking of returns from the game, Leah Williamson returned to the Arsenal team to feature for the first time since the European Championships final. Katie McCabe was a standout in this one. She had 5 successful crosses, 3 key passes, a goal and an assist for Arsenal, who looked a lot more like themselves of last season in this one, I think it'd be fair to say. Arsenal now on the second longest unbeaten run in the WSL. It's 6 games in a row. I think many times this season, Arsenal have taken leads but ended up squandering them, against Aston Villa. It was an especially painful one for Arsenal fans, or maybe just in a position where they haven't been able to convert chances and win games that they should be winning if they want to be in a title fight. They were so quick in getting back into this one, though, Izzy. Do you see some kind of development from them, or like an ability to kind of problem solve returning to their game after this result? What did you think?
Yeah, I just think they looked a lot smoother, a lot more connected. Obviously, they had the win in the Champions League as well against Twente, which I was actually at that match. And for a 1-0 with almost feeling like quite little action. It was actually quite an enjoyable game. So it feels like they've kind of been feeling themselves back to the way they used to play. Obviously, there's been so much talk as well around what's happening at the club and maybe, things going on in the dressing room. So I don't know if it's a result of like them doubling down and wanting to show everyone that, this is a connected team, or if it's like maybe Renee's started to actually work out who her players are that should be playing together and who's connecting well. I think we're starting to see that develop a lot more. Yeah, I thought it was a really good performance. The Hayashi goal, obviously, shame not to keep a clean sheet for Arsenal, but it was an absolute banger. Not too much you can do about that. So I felt a bit sorry for Borba as well, who's obviously not played very many games for Arsenal, but I just thought all round they looked like so much more controlled, and it from a fan's point of view, it was also a much more relaxing watch than maybe some Arsenal games have been recently when they've been ahead. So yeah, it was. I really enjoyed it, and by the way, I thought it was really unfair that Kane Ford didn't get that goal because I feel like she needed it more than Russo did. But hey, never mind. Yeah, I think it's a good start, but obviously they can't lose that momentum now over the winter break. So I think it will be very much telling in the first few games back whether this is kind of a team that's gelled or are they still sort of on a shaky ground, so to speak.
I suppose with Caitlin Ford, I wouldn't have predicted that she'd be the most outspoken supporter of goal line technology in the WSL, but I think she might become it soon. Jacob, I wanted to ask you about Everton. They lost again at home. We spoke on the preview pod about this. Their home games this season have been against Tottenham, London City Lionesses, Manchester City, Man United and Arsenal. They've lost all of them, but they have all been against teams in the top half of the table. Is it something for Everton fans to worry about, or is this something that we'll see naturally kind of remedy in the second half of the season when they start playing sides who aren't in the top half?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it is perhaps slightly worrying. Not that they lost to Arsenal at home. I mean, that result is nothing to be concerned about. But as a whole, if you look at it, kind of at the beginning of the season, moving to Goodison, they would have wanted to make it a home and make it a fortress, and kind of getting good results at Goodison. I think would have also brought a lot more fans together and really helped with like the unity of the club. So yeah, I think the home form is a concern. I mean, obviously last weekend Everton beat Chelsea, which is a huge result, and granted it was away. Yeah, I think it's a difficult one for Everton. That loss means that they now drop to 10th in the league. They've got 0 home points, as we mentioned before, and yeah, they go to 10th because of the Leicester win against London City Lionesses. But yeah, I mean, looking at their fixtures after the break, they've got 3 home games in their next 5, and those are against Brighton, Villa, and West Ham. So I think Brighton and Villa are both good sides, but I think it gives Everton a bit of an opportunity to turn around that home form. And I think they'll definitely take some optimism from the fact that they've got some really good away results this season. And hopefully that away performance and the tenacity and resilience they had against Chelsea will carry them far for the rest of the season.
That makes sense. So maybe we put a pin in that until we've seen that 3-game stretch, see how they come out on the other side of that. As far as the home form is concerned anyway. Okay, and Sam, I wanted to ask you about something that Brian Sorensen said after the game. He said that when I see Arsenal at their best, it's the best team in the league by a mile. Do you think that's maybe a little bit of manager mind games or manager PR, or do you think he actually means that? And if he does, or if you do think he does, do you agree with him?
I think you can see from the men's side that Pep Guardiola's had a lot of success while also just complimenting every team that they've ever played. So yeah, maybe he's taking a leaf out of his book, but I think Arsenal, I think I said at the start of the season, the reason that I didn't put Man City up there, but the reason I said Chelsea would finish ahead of Arsenal this year is because they've both got really high ceilings, but Arsenal's floor is a lot lower. Chelsea, when they have a bad day, still grind out good performances. They still do really well, but Arsenal don't necessarily. But yeah, like Sorensen says, when they're at their best, they are fantastic. There's, they might have had to play slightly different against different teams, but there's a reason they're the European champions. They got there in the end through doing it different ways and through being fantastic at times. Not in every single game, not in every single moment, but a lot of time throughout last season. We're not quite seeing that as much this season, but yeah, I think going back to that Alessi Russo goal. So this was the only bit of live football I actually saw all weekend, and I only had time for about the first 20 minutes prior to go get a train. So I was thankful that 3 of the goals are in those 20 minutes, because I just saw obviously the ball just like struck Russo and then ended up kind of across the line. I didn't realise it was across the line to start with, but just from the way it happened, and I just saw on my tiny little phone screen a blonde woman playing up front for Arsenal. The ball struck her and went in. I just assumed it was Blackstenius, which obviously it ended up not being. But I sort of saw a few hours later that, because I thought it was Ford that scored it, and I saw a few hours later that Russo scored and Stina didn't. And I was sort of like, but then neither did Ford, and I was like, well, what's happened? Did it get disallowed or something? Or so yeah, there's a bit of confusion there for me. But I think Everton, like you say, they've lost every WSL home game. Yes, they've had a struggle in terms of the teams they played against, but you probably wouldn't expect them to pick up 0 points from that at the start of the season. You'd say they're going to pick up 3 or 4 along the way. So they'll be a bit disappointed from that. But yeah, 8 points from the away games they've had so far this season is really good for them. And they're a team that, I was looking earlier at the XG table. So if the results finished based on the XG of each game, obviously it's not quite what happens in real life, but if it was, Everton would be last in the WSL, because they've really overachieved against their XG in terms of scoring. They've scored 14 goals and 9 XG, which is really good. But they've also shipped so much XG on the other side. I think other than West Ham, they've conceded the most XG in the league. And obviously they've had changes in goalkeepers this season through injuries, but when Courtney Brosnan's in, I think she's one that tends to overperform, tends to have those goals prevented. So if they can keep her fit and firing throughout, that'd be really helpful. And yeah, Everton have had the youngest squad so far in the WSL this season as well. So they've not quite got the experience that everyone else has, but they're certainly getting towards it. And I think with Brian Sorensen in charge, whether he's playing mind games or not, they'll probably be fine.
Yeah, I think you might be right there, Sam. Yeah, I feel like the XG is a lot to do with Ornella Vignola's hat trick on the first game, because
that helps.
I feel like it was like 0.5 or something like that, all 3 of them added together. But we'll move across to the South Coast and moving on to Sunday as well, where Chelsea, the reigning champions, beat Brighton 3-0. Obviously, it's a huge result for Chelsea to kind of bounce back after that 34-game unbeaten run came to an end against Everton last time out. It's the first time since September that Chelsea have scored more than 2 goals in a WSL match. And since that defeat to Everton, it's been 2 games, 9 goals. They beat Roma 6-0 in the Champions League as well. You just wonder if maybe a little bit of pressure's been lifted off Chelsea's shoulders. Obviously, an utterly incredible goal from Sandy Baltimore to open the scoring. Caitlin Hayes is unlucky to kind of double Chelsea's lead with an own goal. And then Alyssa Thompson scores a fabulous goal with a brilliant assist from Sam Kerr. There's no Dozy in goal for Brighton in this one. She was out with a concussion. Sophie Bagley came in. I think when you look at the score and you see that Brighton conceded 3, you're kind of thinking maybe that's the initial reason why you'd think it would be that they would have lost so heavily. But that wasn't really the case for Brighton. Jacob, what kind of went wrong for Brighton?
Yeah, I think it's difficult. I think they probably got outdone by Chelsea's quality, to be honest. Like looking at the stats, 2 XG for Chelsea to 0.4 for Brighton, 66% Chelsea possession, 16 shots for Chelsea to 8 to Brighton. So I think they just got outplayed. I thought Sandy Baltimore was absolutely brilliant. She had 9 progressive carries, including an amazing run for her goal, which was a 0.07 XG curler from the edge of the box. We've not seen her as much this season. She's only started 6 out of the 11 games. But yeah, I think seeing the quality of Baltimore and Thompson for Chelsea, as well as seeing Lauren James back as well in this game and also the previous game. I think, yeah, look, it's disappointing from Brighton, especially because this is their first loss by more than a goal this season. Their other losses have been only by a goal. But yeah, look, they're playing a very good Chelsea side. Despite Chelsea obviously losing last time out against Everton, it's still a very good quality Chelsea team. And I think Brighton will also take kind of positives from the fact that teams around them drop points, so they didn't really lose any ground on the teams around them. Villa obviously losing to City, and London City Lionesses losing to Leicester, so it puts Brighton very much kind of still in that middle pack going into the winter break. And I think that Brighton have had a relatively strong start to this season. They picked up 4 wins. Their wins have been against London City Lionesses, Leicester, Everton, and West Ham. So they've picked up really key wins against teams that are in and around them. And yeah, I mean, they've got 2 draws, one against Villa, one against Liverpool. So I think they've been consistent in the fact that they've got results against the teams that are either around them or below them. They've just lost to basically all the top 4 and Spurs. So I think, lots of positives to take for Brighton in the first half of the season.
Agreed. And on Sandy Baltimore, she was brilliant, wasn't she? I feel like she's really benefiting from the return of Lauren James at the moment. I feel like they really combine well together, as we saw last season. Sam, I wanted to ask you about Millie Bright. She's come back into the team for this one. Obviously, she's the club captain. Was dropped for those 2 games. It was a little bit confusing as to why. We didn't really get any clear answers from Bompast. Or do you think that whatever happened is kind of in the past now, or are we going to see her dropping out the side again? Because these have been 2 brilliant performances.
Yeah, there's no real definite explanation as to one reason or the other on that, which I do find a bit strange. But I think the game she's being rested for is Everton at home, so it may well just be that she's being rested. Because Everton at home is probably, you would think on paper, one of Chelsea's easier games throughout the season. So they've got such a big squad, they can't really afford to just play some of the players for every single game like they had for Bjorn and Bright up until that point. But Bright was fantastic in this game. She had well over 100 touches and was sort of really influential in sort of Chelsea's attacking play and starting off those attacks and making the progressive passes in the right place. And I think with her in the side, it's unsurprising. Chelsea have got the best defence in the league. They've only conceded 6 goals so far in 11 games, which I thought is pretty mad. And bearing in mind that Brighton have been very good at home. I was actually looking at the sort of home and away records earlier, and Brighton have still got a better, despite the fact they lost this, a better home record than Man United this season. They've got 10 points to Man United's 9, which, if you think about where Man United are in the league and how well they've been doing, the plaudits they've had, both domestically and in Europe. Obviously, this is only talking about the WSL, but for Brighton to have a better record, I think shows how strong they have been at home. Well done to Brighton so far this season, but Chelsea were really dominant on the day. And I think when you've got someone like Millie Bright in the side with you as a Chelsea player, obviously, like you say, she's the club captain. She's it seems like a very dominant player sort of in that dressing room in terms of how she comes across and how she leads the team. And sometimes it's not necessarily just how good they are at football that makes the difference. It's having that extra player that's that you can trust and that you know how they're going to act, you know how they're going to perform on the pitch. And Millie Bright, I guess, for a lot of Chelsea players, is that person.
I completely agree. She's just been such a staple in that side for so long. Izzy, I wanted to talk to me about Alyssa Thompson. A goal and an assist. What's her ownership going to be like in January on the Aerial Fantasy?
Listen, I bought her when she was a visionary, so I'd like to put that out there. I actually captained her this week only because I forgot to change it last week. But I was quite happy about that, to be honest. No, she's fully settled in now. I think when she signed for Chelsea, obviously it was a whole, she's sitting in the airport, will they, won't they, kind of thing. A lot of drama. And then she obviously came and sort of quietly settled into the team. But I think she's probably one of the most consistent starters now. Survivor of Bombastor Bingo. She seems pretty nailed into that wing position, and she's obviously extremely good at it. And I do think she's only going to get fiercer kind of from January onwards. I can see her becoming a very, very key part of what Bob Pastel's trying to do. So yeah, I imagine her ownership will skyrocket, but I'm slightly hoping it won't, just because I don't like people being in on my secret, which isn't very secret.
The secrets that you give out on the podcast, those secrets.
Those secrets.
Yeah.
Only people who listen to the podcast should get those secrets.
Yeah, they're allowed those secrets.
Yes, exactly. Okay, well, moving on to Dagenham and East London, where there was a bottom of the table clash. 11th placed West Ham faced 12th placed Liverpool. It finished 2-2 at the Chigwell Construction Stadium. Gemma Bonner was sent off inside 20 minutes before West Ham took the lead through Rico Recchi in the second half. She scored against Liverpool at home for the third season in a row, so it's proving to be a real thorn in the Reds' side. Mia Enderby hit back with her first WSL goal, and also probably my favourite stat from the weekend, the first WSL goal this season that Liverpool have scored that wasn't scored by a Swede, which is, yeah, I love that. West Ham struck back through Anna Siki, deflected effort from Fionn Morgan, and Siki was on hand to tap in before, of course, Beta Olsen had to have her say to make the Hammers pay. And that was that. That was all she wrote, 2-2. Liverpool's first away point of the season. Sam, I'm coming to you first on this one. Was it a red card for Gemma Bonner? What do you think?
It was absolutely a red card. I rate Gemma Bonner a lot as a footballer. I think she's really important. She's almost that kind of Millie Bright figure, but at Liverpool. I don't think she's, quite at the same standard, but for Liverpool, she is that player that you know what she's going to give you on the pitch. You know that she's going to put in a performance. You know that she's going to give you her all. And I'm, a big fan of her as a player. But that was absolutely a red card. Once I was watching it earlier, I saw the challenge go in. She immediately went over to the ref, and I'm like, sort of pleading her innocence. It's absolutely not a card, etc. And I was like, wow, there must be something in the replay that's going to show that player jumped over or something. And I watched it back, and I was like, no, that's absolutely a red card. She's absolutely wiped her out. I think I can't hear what, it might be Gemma Evans that was or Jen Clark. One of them was sort of covering back, but. Despite that, I just think with how rash the tackle was, I think it was still deserving of a red card. Liverpool, I thought from there did really well to actually end up getting a point out of this game because it was so important for the season as a whole. These are the two teams that, for my money, other than, I thought there was going to be another team coming in there, but we'll come on to Leicester later. But I think it's probably going to be one of these two teams that ends up finishing bottom of the league, which, considering the players they've got, both sides, it's a case of I think something for both these sides, something just needs to click, and it will do at some point, and they'll start picking up points. The games you've got against the other teams around you, they're the ones that you really need to get the points out of. So from going a player down 20 minutes in to still managing to get a point against a sort of rival in the table is so important for Liverpool.
Izzy, I saw you shaking your head there, and I'm sure some eagle-eyed viewers did as well. What was your view of the red card?
It wasn't red. It wasn't a red. There was another defender covering, and I think it was a yellow, yeah, sure, but I've seen yellows given for more rash tackles in the WSL. I thought it was particularly cruel just like that early on in the game. Maybe it's because I just feel sorry for Liverpool generally. I just felt it was maybe a little bit harsh. I think maybe she should have just got shown the yellow and been on thin ice from there on, but I personally didn't think it was a red. I mean, it was way more entertaining that it was a red, but I don't think it was.
I felt a bit like I was talking to Helen Jerome from the New Women's Sports magazine about this, and it's one of my pet peeves, a challenge like that, because I think it should almost be an orange card, because like a sin bin, because I feel like there probably is a covering defender, but it's also a cynical foul because Rico Recchi's probably going to get through and at least have a shot on target. And I really hate those kind of cynical fouls, the ones where a player's running clean through and they just get pulled back when they're going to have a chance, but it's far enough back in the pitch that it's too early to give a red card. So yeah, that's my tout. But I get Jacob, one word answer: yes or no, red card.
I'll go yes.
Yeah.
I think it was a weird one because once Gemma Bonner had made the challenge, he like turned around to the referee and you could hear her saying repeatedly like, "I didn't touch her." Well, I think she did touch her. I think she's protesting the wrong thing. Really, she should be saying that as a covering defender. But yeah, I think it was a cynical challenge, and I think yeah, I mean, look, Liverpool, I think will be very happy to have got the point here, especially with 10 players. And I watched Liverpool's game on Thursday that they played against Villa, and I thought Liverpool were all over the place, to be honest. I thought they looked really, really sloppy. They created almost nothing in that Villa game. They gave away a lot of chances, which is really disappointing because it felt like a backward step considering they had quite a few positive games before that. They obviously got the draw against Chelsea. They had a relatively positive performance against Arsenal. So I think they will take some solace in the fact that they had 10 players for about 70 minutes and they were able to get a point, and not just get a point, but also come back twice. And yeah, look, a draw probably doesn't do either team very well. Like if West Ham had got the win, they would have been, I think, a point behind Everton and 2 points behind Leicester and clear of Liverpool, most importantly. And if Liverpool would have won, it would have given them that first win of the season, the momentum. So yeah, a draw doesn't really do anything for either team, and it means Liverpool do finish the first half of the season winless, which is very disappointing.
Absolutely. I spoke to Rhian Skinner after this match, and she was really, really obviously gutted about the fact that they weren't able to, that West Ham weren't able to close out the game and gave away what she called cheap goals. You can see her frustration. West Ham had 20 shots to Liverpool's 7, 8 on target to Liverpool's 3, 30 touches in Liverpool box. Izzy, how disappointed should West Ham be that they couldn't hold on to victory here? And does it point towards larger issues?
It was really disappointing. I was watching this game, although albeit on multi-view, so I can't say I was concentrating on that game the entire time. But from what I did see, West Ham looked pretty sort of, I won't say dominant, but it looked confident that they were going to close it out comfortably. Obviously, you can't really factor in Olsen. I think she's such a wild card, but again, that goal was given away really cheaply by West Ham, and I think up until the point that sort of Liverpool came back, I mean, there was only 10 of them. Like this should have been just simple game management, like boring football. I don't care. Like they needed those points. That team is full of highly respected international players. Like this should be something a bit more routine. So yeah, the fact that they weren't able to kind of see it out maybe is a sort of indicative of a broader problem. But yeah, again, we can't judge it on one game, so we'll see what happens when they come back in January, and maybe they'll strengthen during the transfer window. But I do think the game management maybe aspect of their sort of play this season hasn't been necessarily what we're used to, or at least it was hidden before because it was kind of disguised by so many goals from like Martinez and Asai, and now that those aren't coming in, it's perhaps exposing some bigger problems.
Yeah, she's such a cool customer, Rhian Skinner. So often you rarely see her flustered or anything like that. But I think when that goal went in, Beta Olsen's, and it had been Asai's hospital pass to Amber Tiziak, you could just see the first thing she did, Asai subbed her off straight away. And I just feel like we spoke about it on the pod last week, and I don't want to be too harsh on Asai, but it was her mistake last week that gave the free kick on the edge of the box for them to score, and West Ham just can't be affording that right now. I know she creates one, but yeah, it's I agree, Izzy. It is a difficult period for West Ham, but yeah, you can't assess it on just one game. So over to Manchester and the Joey Stadium. Manchester City 6, Aston Villa 1. Who saw this result coming? 10 wins in a row for Manchester City. Over 100 goals for Bunny Shaw, the first player ever to do so for Manchester City in the WSL, or in the women's team, sorry. 4 goals on the day. got a congratulations message from Ian Wright, Usain Bolt. Everyone was just delighted for us, as you well would be. Viviana Miedema and Ayoba Fujino also found the score sheet for City. City had a welcome boost in the fact that Alex Greenwood was able to make the bench. Now, City have scored 6 goals and have a 6-point cushion at the top of the WSL. They've won 9 of their last 11 matches against Villa now and have never lost to Villa at home. Wasn't a good day for Aston Villa. Lucy Parker nabbed the consolation goal, although they did start well, and they actually had quite a few chances in this game. Daly probably should have had a goal at some point. Chastity Grant had a penalty shout. Hansen comes clean through on goal as well. Hijikata looks like a good player, getting her first few minutes this week against Liverpool and Manchester City. And of course, just to mention, obviously, as we mentioned already, Aston Villa had a good 3-0 midweek win at home to Liverpool with 2 goals from Rachel Daly and 1 from Hansen. Jacob, Bunny Shaw, she's now got 12 goals. No other player has more than 5 in the league. She's such a joy to watch in the WSL. I think she's most people's second favourite player, even if you support a rival team. Can you give us a reason? Tell us why we all love Bunny so much and just the unbelievable talent that she is.
Yeah, I mean, she's just incredible. It's so easy to write analysis on Bunny Shaw because there are just so many impressive stats that you can draw from. Yeah, in the game, she had 6 shots and scored 4. That's really clinical from 2.1 xG. I mentioned on the pod last week that we'd actually bizarrely seen her underperform her xG, and she's still technically an xG underperformer, which is just crazy. And that just shows the volume of chances she's had. She's had 12.2 xG this season, scoring 12 WSL goals. She's actually matched her goal tally from last season. That she was obviously injured for a lot of last season and only started 10 games, but she still won the Golden Boot with joint with Alessia Russo, and she scored 12 goals last season. So to be on that only halfway through the season is very, very impressive. Sam mentioned on the podcast last week that Bunny Shaw had scored more goals than Leicester, but she's also scored more goals than both Liverpool and West Ham. And the final kind of main stat that I wanted to say was, look, she's got 12 goals in 11 games, which is obviously more than a goal a game. And there's only one other player in both kind of the men's and women's game that you can think of at the moment that can rack up the same number of records for goals. And it's also a Man City player, and it's also a striker, and it's Erling Haaland. I mean, they're very, very similar in terms of goal scoring. Haaland's got 17 and 16. It's also more than a goal a game. Yeah, she's just so clinical, and her reaction to the 6th goal or her 4th goal was just absolutely brilliant. Like, it was a Grace Clinton shot, and then Bunny Shaw was almost like just apologetic of the fact that it had like hit her and gone in, which I just thought was brilliant. But look, it's absolutely huge win for City. That's 10 WSL wins in a row since that opening day defeat to Chelsea. They go into the winter break with a really good 6-point cushion, and it's not just the Bunny Shaw show. Like, Alba Fujino got a goal and an assist. Viv Miedema got a goal and 2 assists. City have just been absolutely ruthless over the weekend, and they've scored 32 WSL goals this season. That's 8 more than the next most United, and that's nearly 3 goals a game. So when you're scoring 3 goals a game, nearly 3 goals a game, there's no wonder that you're winning games like they are.
Yeah, it was a nice touch from Bunny Shaw as well, to a little nod to that comparison you just made with Erling Haaland, that she did his celebration as well. So, Sam, Aston Villa, they made no changes to the side that beat Liverpool on Thursday. And I know hindsight is 2020. It was a great performance they had against Liverpool, but is that part of the reason that they lost?
Yeah, potentially, because obviously the games are only a few days apart, and we see that when some of the Champions League level teams are playing midweek in Europe and then playing WSL the weekend, that they will rotate because you just need to. And maybe that's something that's a bit of a learning for Villa moving forward, that as good as you can play in one game, you can't necessarily just put the same team out. But I think if you said to Villa at the start of the week that you can give them 3 points in these 2 games, they would take them. they wouldn't care too much what the scores were if they could, come out 3 points and a -2 goal difference in these two games. They'd be pretty happy with that. And yeah, like you say, Man City are top scorers in the league. They've got a 100% record at home. They've accumulated 6 XG more than any other team. They are just on such a roll this season. It's for every team, it's going to be the hardest match of their season to go away to Man City because it's such a fortress there. I had another stat on Bunny Shaw as well. One was that she scored as many as Leicester City and Alessia Russo combined. Alessia Russo being one of those that are joint second behind Bunny Shaw for top scorer, as is Kirsty Hansen, by the way. Despite the fact she didn't score in this game, she obviously scored midweek. She's now the second top scorer in the league, which when you're at a team in the bottom half is pretty good, especially when you're not like an out-and-out striker. Kirsty Hansen, you'll see her popping up in a few different positions on the pitch, and she's still the joint second scorer in the league, which is so good. The other thing I had about Bunny Shaw was that only Man City themselves, Arsenal and Man United actually got more XG than Bunny Shaw this weekend. She was just fed so many chances, and then obviously put them away as well. But a good weekend all round for Man City, other than people like me who had people like Kirsten Kasper and Rebecca Knack in their fantasy team did not get a clean sheet.
Yeah, I feel your pain, Sam. I'm with you on that one. Izzy, I want to ask you a question about Manchester City. The last time they lost was on the first day of the season to Chelsea. I still, as much as they've been good, I still just have a feeling in my head that if they played Chelsea, they'd lose. What do you think of that? Am I completely wrong?
Do you know what? No, because I think I have that same feeling as well. I don't know. It's a weird one. I think it's just, years of watching them play at a really good level, and just still never quite make it. It's very Arsenal-esque of sort of a few seasons ago. It's very like, I think it is just, who turns up on the day. I think the stadium really does play a huge part in it. And actually, I think that's something sort of on a bit of a side note, but we were talking about Goodison. Like Everton used to be a proper fortress back before they played at Goodison. They're obviously not used to that sort of environment now. And when I was watching the Arsenal-Everton game, all you could hear with the travelling Arsenal fans, they haven't got used to the new dynamics. We were talking about Brighton at home. I think it's very telling now where teams are kind of being able to assert their dominance at home, which is not, I don't think, something that's always been the case in the WSL. And I think the Joy Stadium is an example of that. So I think when they come to play Chelsea next, it will be at home for them. So when I put it into context and rationalize it, I actually do think they could do it, because I've not been convinced by Chelsea, and I've been completely and utterly convinced by City. And it's not just Bunny Shaw. I mean, Viv Miedemar is just back to her old ways, and it's, as an Arsenal fan who was devastated when she left, it's really nice to see her kind of free-flowing on the pitch. For Gino, I love her. I love the way she plays. The whole team just has something about them. So, yeah, I mean, I could definitely see them get something from their game against Chelsea. Whether it's a win, I'm not sure. But I don't think they'd go home or stay home empty-handed.
I think you might be right. And, of course, because they've got that 6-point gap, they don't even need to beat Chelsea at home, really, to win the title at the moment, so long as they can keep on doing what they're doing against everyone else. So we'll move on to the King Power Stadium, where Leicester City shocked, certainly the three of us that were on the podcast last week, to beat London City Lionesses 1-0. Shannon O'Brien scored the only goal of the game. Again, she pops up with a vital goal for Leicester. She also scored an extraordinary offside goal that would have been a real contender for goal of the season. 99th minute, Leicester City hanging on. Jadis Cayman brings down Grascaoro, and Aslani steps up, and Janina Leipzig makes a brilliant save. She's now made the most saves of any goalkeeper in the league with 46. Positive news for London City Lionesses is they secured a new deal for Izzy Goodwin during the week. They are still in 6th at Christmas, despite their dip in form recently with 2 losses on the bounce. For Leicester, they move up to 9th, 6 points clear of the drop, which they'll be absolutely delighted with, I think. London City Lionesses missed 5 big chances in this one. Izzy Goodwin missed 2. Nikita Paris missed 2. Sam, we watched them last week. They didn't score in that game either. As a manager, if you're putting yourself in Jocelyn Pressure's mind, you get 5 big chances and concede 2. Do you feel like you've done your tactics wrong, or is there just a point where your players just have to do better?
I think we saw last week in the sort of the chat with him after that he was so frustrated about the fact that his players hadn't listened to very clear instruction. He gave them a very clear instruction. He said of do not shoot high against the nosy because she's so good with her hands and saving there, shoot low, and they didn't, and he was very frustrated about that. And I think perhaps probably shouldn't have taken that frustrations out by telling us, but never mind. I'm not complaining. Thanks. Thanks for the input. But yeah, I think in this game, I was just having a look at the stats. They created more XG than Leicester in this game. They both have the same XG on target as well, both around 1.4. So it's not like they wasted their chances and they were missing the target all the time. I think there's an element of the finishing wasn't good enough, but I think there is also an element of just Janina Leipzig is quite good at being a goalkeeper. Leicester have always had, for the last few seasons, quite a sort of fortunate goalkeeper situation, and then obviously Lisa Kopp went to Spurs. So before that, they had, I said, 2 of probably the top 6 maybe keepers in the league at that point, which when you're a team low down the table, you don't necessarily need. You probably did need to sell one of them. But I think Shannon O'Brien has been a bit of a shining light for Leicester so far this season. She's just so like gritty and determined, and that's really her sort of her attribute that really stands out. I think if no Moujon, well, not if, but when no Moujon comes back, expecting her back in about a month's time, so when the WSL restarts after Christmas, expecting her to lead the line for me. I think, once she's back fully fit. But Shannon O'Brien is absolutely doing everything that she can do within reason. Being a Leicester player, you're not going to go and score 10 goals in the first half of the season, but she's their only player that's got more than 2 goal contributions so far. Although there is obviously the fact that she's had a red card and things like that as well, which I think is probably shown by that sort of gritty, determined side of her as well. I always think with Shannon O'Brien, she's done sort of the England youth setup stuff and sort of got obviously up to Leicester, playing the first team, and sort of just hasn't quite taken that next step yet. And actually getting these opportunities when a player like Moujon is injured is exactly what she needs. She needs to go and take it. I know when I was doing some research for something else, I spoke to her and asked her about what sort of position she likes to play, because she tends to get played on. She used to get played a lot on the left. I was like, "Do you like playing on the left? Do you prefer to play on the right? Do you prefer to stay down the middle?" And she's like, "I'm probably, I'm good at being a winger because I'm quick, but I want to play centre forward. That's where I want to play." And she's getting that at the moment, and scoring 1-0 against a team of, let's say, fantastic individuals. I think they're still, they're getting there. They're almost gelled, London City Lionesses, but they are a team of fantastic individuals. There's so much quality and so much success in that side. And she's the difference by just getting her body in the way and bundling it in however she needs to do it. So well done to her. But for London City Lionesses, this is a disappointing loss. I don't think this is one that they would expect to lose. Leicester are the lowest scorers in the league so far with just 7 goals. Almost half of Bunny Shaw on her own. And London City Lionesses is now the only team to lose both of their last 2 games and the only team to not score in their last 2 games. So they need to change something, because they don't want to just lose 1-0 for every game for the rest of the season. The break's probably come at quite a good time for them.
Yeah, I think you might be right there. I think you might be right, Sam. Well, moving on to probably what is the game of the weekend, both before and after the weekend. What a game this was. I'm sorry, Jacob probably doesn't agree with me here. But kicked off at 2:30 on Sunday at Leigh Sports Village. Manchester United versus Spurs. Drew Spence became only the 6th player ever to make 200 WSL appearances. A really huge milestone for her. Manchester United had 9 big chances to Spurs' 1 in this one, 34 shots to 5. But it was Spurs who took the lead in the first half. An absolutely exceptional header from Bethany England. in off the crossbar just made it look that much sweeter. It was awful defending from Jade Riviere to play her onside, but excellent play from Olivia Holt to drift inside and just make that cross from a position you don't really expect her to. She was fantastic in this game as well. Evelina Suderman then doubles the lead after another excellent cross, this time from Ashley Neville. Despite Manchester United hitting the woodwork 3 times in the first half alone, including an unbelievable effort from Hinata Miyazawa and another equally as unbelievable effort from Melvin Mallard, and 2 clearances off the line from Toko Koga, it was Spurs who went in at halftime 2-0 up. And then, of course, wouldn't you know it, Martha Thomas scores a blistering finish against her old club, her first WSL goal in 2 years. A thunderous finish from another excellent pass from Olivia Holt. And at this point, Tottenham fans are absolutely over the moon, but United staged a late rescue mission and rescued a point with a double from Freelina Rolfö and a goal from Ella Toon, a really intelligent finish. Molly Bartrip made an exceptional block on the line as well late on to prevent United from, I think it was a third at the time, but potentially would have been a fourth then, of course. So, I mean, Jacob, I wouldn't be surprised if you haven't even got all your thoughts together on this one. And I want your thoughts on this match as a whole. But maybe first, specifically, I wanted to ask you about Martin Ho. And is there anything he could have done differently to close out this match? Or was he already overachieving to be 3-0 up?
And breathe. I don't even know where to begin. It was just the most ridiculous game of football I feel like I've watched in a while. I think in my analysis, I think I want to focus on substitutes because I think substitutes affected the game both for United and for Spurs. United brought on both Fridolina Rolfö and Leah Galton. Rolfö came on the pitch just before Spurs scored their third, and Galton came on 68 minutes, and that changed the game. I mean, there were 3 players for United that I think influenced the game. It was Jess Park, Leah Galton, and Fridolina Rolfö. Jess Park was involved, I think, in all 3 goals, actually. The second one, she had a cross shot that was scrappy, but it was scored by Rolfö. And the equaliser late on, Jess Park played the ball through to Galton, who was in lots of space. And it was Galton and Rolfö that combined to score. And I think we've actually spoken quite a lot about on the pod previously about United having a lack of squad depth. But I think to be able to bring on the experience and quality of both Galton and Rolfö compared to Spurs, who, if you look at Spurs' bench, it looked really, really thin. We only had 7 players on the bench, including 2 goalkeepers. We only had one natural attacking substitute, which was Lena Gunning-Williams. Why? We've picked up a lot of injuries recently. We obviously have quite a few long-term injuries like Maite Oroz, Ella Morris and Jess Naz, who have all done their ACLs. Luana Bula's been out for a while, and Olga Atta and Charlie Garnett and Tinker Tamberg are all out. So that's 7 players there that Spurs are missing, and I think it showed. You mentioned Molly Bartrip before. She came on, I think it was at maybe 3-1 to try and shut up shop, and Beth England came off. And look, I actually don't mind that sub because at that point, Spurs are 3-1 up. You kind of want to make the game sure, but United just piled on the pressure regardless of whether Spurs had 5 at the back or 4 at the back. So it felt like the game was coming. And look, I think there's not much more Martin Ho could have done, to be honest, because I think we were lucky. We were probably very fortunate to be 3-0 up in the first place. Like, looking at the stats, it was just United domination, and it felt that way throughout the game. United had 4.6 XG to Spurs' 0.8. And that 4.6 XG is the most any team has accumulated in any game in the WSL this season. United had 34 shots to 5 Spurs shots, and United did hit the woodwork 4 times. After Spurs' third goal, United had 16 shots, and Spurs had none, which just shows the domination from the hour mark onwards. But look, from Spurs' point of view, I have to praise both the fact that we fought in the game and the tenacity to be in the game. We've never beaten United before in a competitive match, and as amazing as it would have been to get that win, to be 3-0 up in the first place and to be competitive, and I've got to shout out Olivia Holt again because she was just absolutely brilliant. She played a part in all 3 goals. She got 2 assists for the first goal and the third goal, and the assist that she made for Martha Thomas's goal was just an embodiment of Olivia Holt and how she's been this season. She picked up the ball from deep, spun Janssen, and literally just like ran from her own half into United's half, set up Martha Thomas to score, and that's 3 goals and 2 assists this season for Olivia Holt. Although we couldn't get the win, we are currently still 5th, clear by 5 points of London City Lionesses, and we've got 20 points, which is bizarrely the same amount of points that we got in the whole of the WSL last season. So I think it's been a very, very successful first half of the season for Spurs.
I completely agree with that, Jacob. I like your point about Olivia Holt, because I did think she was spectacular in this game. And I think it's really a sign of the mentality shift with Tottenham. I don't know if you saw her interview after the game, but she was completely crestfallen about the result. And obviously you would be, but it didn't feel like a feel sorry for me kind of crestfallen. It was like we are going to do better kind of mentality. And I think that's kind of a big part. And what Martin Ho can take credit for. Obviously he's done a brilliant job in changing that mentality, and to even be 3-0 up in the first place, it's extremely impressive. Izzy, I want to ask you about Manchester United, and maybe just looking at their season as in a bit more of a macro sense. If at the start of the season you'd asked Mark Skinner if he would take United being 4th going into the winter break, in the next round of the Champions League, and potentially, certainly in the quarterfinals of the Subway Cup, potentially in the semi-finals, do you think you would have taken that?
Yeah, I do. I think what happens in January is going to make or break United pretty much, because I think we're starting to see perhaps that squad depth that we spoke about earlier in the season. I think they do seem a bit more lethargic. People are making mistakes a little bit more than they used to. I'm thinking about their defense, which has been historically so great. It's kind of fallen off in recent weeks, and I think obviously it was extremely excellent comeback from them on Sunday, and also generally just a very dominant performance. But at the end of the day, sort of like Jacob said, it kind of came down to those individuals who were kind of making that happen, and those are, like, by and large, people that came in over the summer. So I think they're going to need to do a lot of business in January if they're going to sustain this momentum, because I can see if Spurs continue on the way they're doing, and Arsenal can kind of hold their sort of position in the table, it could become dangerous for United. And obviously when it gets to the Champions League in the next stages, I think they could obviously really contend for the Subway Cup, and there's all these different factors. I think, to me, every time I watch United, I'm increasingly convinced that they're getting tighter and tighter, which is not what I'm seeing from some of the other teams around that place in the table. So I think Mark Skinner will be very happy with how it's going, but I know he's spoken up about wanting to do more business in the transfer window anyway. I can see perhaps he's being quite diplomatic about it, forward facing, but yeah, I think there's a sense of urgency for him there, because I think he can also recognise those sort of weaker links now as the season's gone on.
Yeah, you're right. I think there's a couple of teams in the league that really need big windows, and it'd be interesting to see if they're able to have them. Sam, I want to ask you about the Subway Cup. Obviously, we're going to see this game next week. I mean, I'm going to put you on the spot. What's going to happen? Who's going to win? Are we going to have as good a game this week as we did last week?
Do you know what might make it a great game? I said at the start of the season about Martha Thomas being given a new contract after not scoring at all last season. She's played all 22 games in the WSL. And I said that I just feel like when she gets that first goal and she gets a bit of confidence, she gets a bit of time in pre-season, scores, etc., she'll start off great, like she did a couple of seasons ago when she scored something like 7 goals in the first 6 games. I don't know if it was exactly that. It was something along those lines. And maybe that's what we're going to see now. She's obviously got, a goal that's saved a point for Spurs in this game, in a game that, let's be honest, they really shouldn't have got any points out of. Like, Man United got 6 times the XG that Spurs did. Tom, I thought it was absolutely audacious for you to ask Jacob earlier if Martin could have done any better. I think it's amazing they got a point. Amazing they got 3 goals. Amazing that they only conceded 3, based on how they played. But yeah, maybe going into the next game, I'm going to back Man United to win it based on this performance. But I do think that, I guess backing Man United, because I would say that Man United have got, generally tend to have quite a thin squad, and Spurs is a lot bigger, but because Spurs have got so many injuries as well, that neither team are going to be able to rotate that much. And if Man United are already getting 6 times the XG that Spurs are, they hit the woodwork as many times as Spurs had a shot on target at the weekend. Like, it was a domination of a game. So it's probably going to be a Man United win, but there is a little bit of me that wants to see Martha Thomas get 4 goals and knock Man United out 4-3.
Yeah, it's interesting because I do think that Martin's probably going to learn some lessons from this weekend. I don't think we'll see another domination job. I think it's always interesting with these, especially managers that know each other, how they set up when they probably both know what they're both thinking directly after, and they're kind of second guessing themselves as to what their next move. He knows I'm going to do this, so maybe I should do this, or should I just do that? But it'll be interesting, needless to say. But yeah, thank you all for that. We'll move on to aerial fantasy now. So some aerial fantasy stats. Going into the Decoding the WSL League, first, we have a new first place. I think they were first place earlier in the season, but they're back again. Venky's out, broke the 100-point barrier this week, and they didn't use a single chip to do it as well, so very impressive from them. They have 671 points overall now. Best game week 10 score came from a player called The Future is Bright. 119 points. Triple captain Shaw for a whopping 60 points. From one player, 60 points. Wow. They also had Miedema, who got 15 points, Leipzig, who got 15 points, and Hansen and Toon, who both got 7 points as well. So they're the top scorers for The Future is Bright. In our own little mini league this week.
So can I say so on The Future is Bright as well?
Yeah,
one, absolutely audacious, but you Leipzig in goal, but very well done. Second one, they were the highest scorer in the Decoding the WSL League, but they were actually the highest scorer in the world this week as well.
Fantastic. Well done. They must have been listening extra close to us in recent times. So in our own little league, we all, I think, let's pat ourselves on the back because we all did pretty well this week. We all got 87 points and above. Jacob remains top of the tree with Sam next, then myself, and then Izzy. We'll come to you first, Sam, because you had your triple captaincy pick on Lisa Olsen, which I'm sure you were, well, maybe not because you're at the darts, but you would have been absolutely sweating with 60 minutes gone in the second game, the double game week, I'm sure, with no returns.
I was checking my phone. My phone between sets, don't worry, to see what the scores were. I was really sad to start with when I saw that after triple captain in Bette Olsen, she got a big fat 0 points on Thursday night. Although Kirsty Hansen, I did have her as well, so at least that was a few points there. But I was really happy when I eventually saw my score, went on, so I had 87 points and thought, I'm going to be moving up the leagues, I might be top of our league, and then found out that I was the lowest scorer of the 4 of us, which on 87 points is crazy. On 87 points, when you've got a player that you've triple captained that has scored, I think she scored and assisted. Assisted, goal line clearance, played 60 minutes twice, got extra visionary points as a triple captain, and I had Bunny Shaw. And yeah, I wasn't better than any of you.
I think it was a high scoring week generally. But I mean, having said that, I think the average was 49. So globally, we all had massive weeks. Izzy and Jacob, any pearls of wisdom from your week in fantasy?
Don't forget to change your captain. I also had a similar thing where I was tweeting all the games and they're all coming through and I'm like, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I said to my parents, they kept coming in being like, who scored? Oh, am I going to get points? I'm like, guys, you can have nothing on me this week. Nothing. I was so buzzing. I had Alyssa Thompson, and I thought I'd put my captain from Alyssa Thompson to Bunny Shaw. But viewer, I did not. So I was very happy that I got 22 points for Alyssa Thompson. But when Bunny Shaw ended up with 20 points, and my mum had obviously captained her, I was feeling pretty rough. And then obviously I was like, at least I'm going to beat all the Decoding the WSL boys. I was like, finally, my time will have come. No, I'm still last in the league. So I had a very short-lived moment of happiness this weekend, and I quickly got put back in my place.
Where is Mum in your league table at the moment? Is she ahead of you now with that?
Do you know what? I actually think I'm still ahead of her. But somehow every week she seems to do better than me, but I'm still ahead of her. I think maybe it's a consistency. I'm consistently average, whereas she's sort of yo-yoing.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're fiddling the numbers, Izzy.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm actually doing.
You've lost every week, but you're still winning.
If I was fiddling the numbers, would I be 210th in the Decoding the WSL league?
We don't want to make it too obvious.
True. I'd at least bump myself up a few places.
Jacob, you're just sitting back, watching us all squabble here, top of the tree. You don't need to get involved, do you?
No, I don't. Although my words of wisdom, I'll keep it simple. My words of wisdom is don't doubt Bunny Shaw. I went against the grain and didn't captain her this week or last week. Last week I captained Kasperai on the wall, and this week I captained Bita Olsen. And Shaw would have done better if I had captained her. So yeah, that's my moral of the story is don't doubt Bunny Shaw.
Very words to live by, I would say. Words to live by. Okay, fantastic. So we'll move on to another game, Know Your Stat. Today I've got something a little bit different for you three. So essentially, this is Sam's first ever Know Your Stat game, listener. Just so you're aware of that. He's made basically all of them. The first time he's ever on the other side of things. So my eyes are going to be on this man.
He's going to pad of paper out. I've just realised I'm either going to have a 100% record or a 0% record, so I'm either going to be brilliant or terrible.
I do kind of feel it would be so funny if you were bottom of the table, though. It would be so funny.
Learn how it feels.
Yeah, he's bottom. I just need to check his bottom of the table at the moment.
Yeah.
That's my target.
You can say you're a very gracious host if you are bottom of the table, But this week, Sam, I'm going to let you pick the first one, given that it's your first Decoding WSL.
As I'm the challenger.
You're the challenger on Know Your Stat. But it's going to be a visual thing. Rather than giving you categories, I'm going to give you visual clues as to what the categories might be. So category one is this.
Okay.
I've just realised the listener's not going to be able to tell. So I've waved lines.
We'll make people come to YouTube.
Yeah. And then the second one is this. It's a Adobe Women's FA Cup keychain.
I've heard of them.
Yeah. And then the third one is Sweden's 2019 Women's World Cup shirt. So Sam, what's your pick for round one?
I don't really know. I'm not overly looking forward to any of these at this point, but I'm going to go for the Sweden one.
There's been 38 players that have been of the Swedish nationality to have played in the WSL since 2011. I need you to name them.
I'll go Stina Blackstenius.
You'll be shocked to know that that's correct.
Amanda Nilden.
Amanda Nilden is, of course, correct as well.
Fridolina Rolfö.
Another correct answer.
They were literally the first three that I wrote down as well, which is extra annoying. I'll go for Bita Olsen.
It's Olsen, correct.
Matilda Winberg.
Matilda Winberg is, of course, also correct.
Kosovari Asllani.
Over 200 caps for Sweden. Kosovari Asllani is correct. 2 spells in WSL, 1 with Manchester City, and now, of course, with London City.
I'll go for Cornelia Kopox.
Of course, correct as well.
Natalie Bjorn.
Natalie Bjorn is another correct answer. Well done, Jacob.
Magda Eriksson.
Over 100 appearances for Chelsea, winning the title multiple times.
Johanna Risen-Conrad.
JRK, of course, correct.
Rosa Kafaji.
Rosa Kafaji is another correct answer. This is really good going, guys.
Philippa Angeldal.
Angeldal is another correct answer. Well done, Izzy.
Amanda Ilestedt.
Amanda Ilestedt is another correct answer. Well done.
Oh, I'm gonna have to time out. I've not got anyone.
All right then. So Jacob's timing out. Izzy, have you got one for me?
Jonna Andersson.
Jonna Andersson is correct. Well done. A fantastic dead ball specialist, Jonna Andersson.
Sophia Jakobsen.
Is another correct answer. Sophia Jakobsen of Chelsea and now London City Lionesses.
Oh. Zecira Musovic.
Another correct answer. Very well done.
That's the most annoying one. Oh, actually, no, God. I'll say that's the most annoying one because that was the only one I had left on my list. But I've just thought of Ziggy Olmi.
No! Sam!
Ziggy Olmi is, of course, correct. 2 spells in the WSL, one with Brighton, and now one ongoing with Manchester United as well. How are you doing, Izzy? I suspect that Sam might have said one of your answers.
Hannah Bennison.
Former Everton player, now at Juventus, is correct.
Do you know what? I'm doubting myself because I'm doubting that I've actually got her nationality right, but I'm going to go Anna Sandberg.
Anna Sandberg is a correct answer. Well done. Well done indeed. It's one of those, you could doubt your own name in a game of Know Your Stat, couldn't you?
I've only got one more.
I'm out. That's all. I don't have anyone.
Okay, well, exceptionally good from all 3 of you. Well done, Sam. Your 100% record begins.
Yeah.
Just turn off your camera and you'll be fine.
Lost. Yeah.
Corrupted
my only
file.
one was Mikato.
Yep, another correct answer, of course. You all
no need
did
to show off. Come on.
I thought she was Finnish.
No, she's still playing. Honestly, she's a good player.
No, Finnish. Oh.
I know, I'm sorry. Okay. There was, you did exceptionally well. All of you did really, really well. I'm just trying to look at some of the bigger names maybe that you missed out. Anna Avegaard played for Everton a couple of seasons ago. Marika Bergman Lundin played for West Ham last term. Lena Hurtig was one that was missed.
My favourite.
Emma Kuhlberg for Brighton. Hedvig Lindahl for Chelsea. Julia Rodar for London City Lionesses. Amelia Pellgander for Leicester City at the moment. One Tottenham player, current Tottenham player, Jacob. Josephine.
Oh, it was Josephine Rybring. Oh, that's it. Oh, I should have got that.
It happens. It happens. But very well done because that was an exceptionally good round. You got a huge amount of answers there. I'm not going to count them up, but I'll text you all and tell you how great you are after the pod. So next, Jacob, you can pick between the Lions person's flag and the FA Cup keychain.
I'll go for the offside flag, please.
Offside flag. So we're looking for any player that's been caught offside 4 times or more in the WSL this season. So there's 23 players, and if they've been caught offside 4 times or more, then they are a correct answer. And starting with you, Jacob.
Stina Blackstenier.
First name on my list as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Correct answer.
I feel like this is one of those ones I'm going to get wrong easily. Alessia Russo.
is a correct answer. Well done.
I'm going to go for Izzy Goodwin.
Is a correct answer. She's had the 6th most.
Jess Naz.
Has got 4 offsides this season, so just about correct. Well done, Jacob.
Bunny Shaw.
Yep, Bunny Shaw is number 1 with a whopping 15 offsides. She does everything in excess, Bunny Shaw.
Can I go for Shannon O'Brien?
Shannon O'Brien, I'm afraid, is our first incorrect answer of this round. So you're still not out of it, but you need neither Jacob nor Izzy to get a correct answer now.
Oh no, I'm out. They both went before me.
Oh, well, sorry, you're out. You're out, Sam. All right.
I'll edit that bit out.
You don't need to. People need to know that you're the top dog. Correct answer. You don't need to. People need to know that you're the top dog. You don't need to. But Jacob.
Nikita Paris.
Nikita Paris is a correct answer.
Rachel Daly.
Rachel Daly is a correct answer. She's the 2nd highest person to be caught offside in the WSL.
Melvin Mallard.
You found your groove now. The 3rd highest, Melvin Mallard.
Viv Asay.
Viv Asay is an incorrect answer, I'm afraid. That means that Jacob takes the round. Well done, Jacob. Very impressive. Let me see if... so the other ones you could have had, Tony Payne was a correct answer. Aggie Beaver-Jones, correct answer. Elizabeth Turland, Rosa Kafaji, Eric Stottier, Ebony Salmon, Katinka Tamberg, Shakira Martinez, Kirsten Kasparai, Chastity Grant, Rico Oeki, Frida Marnham, Hannah Kane, Vika Captain, and Carla Camacho have all been offside 4 times or more. So that's 1 round for Sam, 1 round for Jacob, and no rounds as yet for Izzy. But we're going into this final round, and Izzy, you get to choose. Everyone's won their home round so far. So would you like this FA Cup keychain?
I want you to wave the flag again, but I will take the FA Cup round. Thank you.
There you go. Just a morale booster for you.
Thank you.
Okay, so the FA Cup round, obviously it was the 3rd round of the FA Cup just this weekend. Some really exciting ties. Obviously in the women's game, in the 4th round, the WSL teams come into it. And last season was a really exciting 4th round. There were 60 goal scorers in the 4th round of the FA Cup last term in January 2025. Name them, please. So, Izzy, I'm going to start with you. If this question feels too hard for all 3 of you, then I will read out all the scores, but all 3 of you have to agree that you want that. Not the scores, sorry, the teams that played each other. Would you like that, or would you not like that?
I think we go for it.
Let's throw caution to the wind.
Raw dog it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, don't we?
All right.
Okay. Well, no, I'm going to go out in the first one. I'm going to say Alessia Russo.
Alessia Russo. Okay.
Let's take a safe punt.
Alessia Russo is, I'm afraid, an early incorrect answer. I'm sorry to say, but that is incorrect.
What a surprise.
You might not be out.
Yeah. Sam.
I'm going to go for Nikita Paris.
Nikita Paris. Okay, I just need to remember who she actually played for last season. So Nikita Paris by the skin of your teeth and the hairs on your chinny chin chin, Sam, 96th minute goal for the Heat of Paris puts you through. So
he totally knew that.
You're the only person to celebrate a goal a year after it was scored.
Just obviously I know, but just for everyone else's benefit, who did you score against?
Jacob.
I only have one answer for this, which is Kelly Gago.
Is correct. I feel like that might be a trauma response there, that you remember that name.
It is a trauma response.
Bunny Shaw.
Has Jacob's advice from earlier helped you out?
Yeah, that's true. I didn't take Jacob's advice.
Well, Bunny Shaw is an incorrect answer, I'm afraid. So
I think was she not injured by then?
Well,
that's what I thought. That's why I didn't say her, but I don't know if that's true.
To take the round and the game.
Yeah, I don't know. Everton beat us 2-0, but I can't remember if Gago scored 1 or 2. So I can't have a pot, I guess. I'll go Viv Miedemar.
Viv Miedemar is a correct answer. Well done, Jacob. So Jacob takes the round and the game.
Well done, Jacob.
Yeah, that was a very tough round, so I do apologise to you all for that. But there was quite a few big names who scored. Mallard, Celine Bizet, Rachel Williams, Ella Toon, Chantal Boyle-Orca scored a hat-trick. Aslani, Goodwin both scored. Rord also scored. And for Arsenal, Stina Blackstenia scored, as did Manham and Mead. Leanne Kiernan scored as well for Liverpool, as did Grace Fisk and Sam Kerr and Lucy Parry. And other goal scorers were Mi Kato also scored for Crystal Palace. Rachel Daly scored, and Gabby Nunez scored a hat-trick as well in that round. And as well as Chelsea, also Myra Ramirez, Gura Wrighton, Agavia Jones, and Niamh Charles also found the net. So well done, everyone. I think that was 3 really hard-fought rounds. And well done, Jacob, for extending your streak at the top now. How did it feel?
It feels good. I think I just had a look who scored that second Everton goal. It was Heather Payne. But I had some random knowledge from Spurs' 4th round FA Cup loss last year, so it's come useful.
Such Spurs energy.
Yeah. I'm glad that you could put it to good use, Jacob. So thank you, all 3 of you, for joining me tonight. And thank you, listener, for tuning in to Decoding the WSL. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow at Decoding the WSL on Instagram, and also check out the new Decoding WSL YouTube channel. Thanks again for listening, and we'll speak to you on the next one.